We keep a legacy alive, a tradition alive. And in America, it's very difficult, in part because what? America doesn't like funk. America likes deodorant. America is a city on the hill, where the sun is always shining, no darkness. That's why they call America a hotel civilization. The great Henry James, one of the finest novelists of America, literature, called it a hotel civilization. He left and went where? To England. Well, he won't get into the choice. He turned back and said, oh, it's a hotel civilization. Where's the hotel? The shoes are market in a home, isn't it? The haven in a heartless world. The home. Market forces everywhere. Buying and selling, making and mending. It's all about the Benjamins. Money, money, money. We all need it. OJ's are right. You got to have it. Idolizing it. That's the emptiness of the soul. That's what we're wrestling with. Which means, Socratic imperative, what is the connection between being successful and being great? Because Robert Sosa America aspired to greatness. The greatness is defined in terms of the quality of your service to the weak. I'm a Christian, so I go back to the 25th chapter of Matthew. To the least of the, goes back to that revolution in human species when it comes to moral discourse that our Jewish brothers and sisters enacted in Hebrew scripture. That said, to be human is to promote the welfare of the orphan, the widow, to treat the stranger in the same way or better than you treat the familiar, to be in solidarity with the oppressed. That's a serious order, because it means that you're always cutting against the grain. That's the fusion between the Socratic and the prophetic. And it's fascinating, because Socrates never wrote a word. After Plato was in the form of Aristophanes, he didn't know anything about a figure named Socrates. The fascinating thing about Socrates is he never sheds a tear. He never cries. You can't be an undemocratic socialist if you don't shed a tear. You can't go through the reservation and see the precious red babies crying out for food and not shed a tear. You can't go into the barrio and see the brown brothers and sisters catching hell. Arbitrary police power and not shed a tear. You can't go to Africa, see the levels of poverty and not shed a tear. You can't go to the Middle East, see folk under occupation, stop, not shed a tear. You can't go to Asia, China, and hear all the talk about economic growth, but you got repressive communist elites that don't allow folks to give a speech like I'm giving right now. Not shed a tear. It's the fusion of critical reflection with profound care and concern. Amos sheds a tear when he says, let justice roll down like waters and righteousness like a mighty stream. And he's already, Jewish prophet, got a universal vision for all oppressed folk, no matter who they are, no matter what color, no matter what culture, no matter what civilization. Interrogation, questioning, analysis with deep care, compassion. And that's why in this country, when it comes to trying to keep track of being great in the midst of a hotel civilization obsessed with power, pleasure, and property, so much of the best of the history of the country is connected to those who created the blues. This is one thing we're trying to put pressure on Brother Obama. And it's not because blues somehow are tied solely to phenotype. There are some sentimental Negroes in the room. Blues comes out of the struggle of a particular people of all colors, though disproportionately tied to those who've been enslaved, Jim Crow and Jane Crow, and hated. And what is the blues? Blues is just looking at the world from the vantage point of those below, recognizing that catastrophe is always there, and responding to catastrophe with critical orientation, compassion, and maybe some organization. Ralph Waldo Emerson said blues ain't nothing but autobiographical chronicle of a personal catastrophe expressed lyrically. So when the king of the blues, B.B. King, said nobody loves me but my mama, she might be jiving too. Anybody know what that is? That's the blues. But he says it with such dignity and style. Billie Holiday sings, strange fruit that southern trees bear. You all know that song, don't you? Jewish brother Maripol writing the lyrics. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze, looking at America through the vantage point of what? Terroristic attack. 244 years slavery, American terrorism. 90 years of Jim Crow, lynching every 2.5 days for 50 years, something like about it. Something like baby hanging from a tree. What did it find just a black folk? As a Catholic, Leo Frank knew his brother, but disproportionately, even with American terrorism, looking at it from the vantage point of catastrophe. So when catastrophe gets to the mainstream, as it did just a year or so ago here on Wall Street, about, oh my God, we got a catastrophe, you don't say. Oh, now it's hit your side of town, now you're calling it a catastrophe. You know what? It was a catastrophe in New Orleans before Katrina hit. Just look at the education, unemployment, what I mentioned before. There's a catastrophe right now in New York before 9/11 hit. I don't know how you define catastrophe. What kind of sensitivity do you have? But if all you're about is success, being well adapted to indifference to the plight of poor people and working people, subjugated people. Indifference is the one trait that makes the very angels weep. That's what William James used to say. Great Rabbi Abraham Joshua Heschel used to say, indifference to evil is more insidious than evil itself. Even George Bernard Shaw, who wanted to be Shakespeare, but failed miserably. But he wrote anyway, and had some things to say. That early play of his, The Devil's Disciples, worth reading, rereading. Shaw got something to say. Indifference is the essence of inhumanity. The age of Reagan was about greed running amok, especially at the top. Hemorrhaging of wealth at the top. Wages stagnating for working people. Poor people pushed into invisibility, tied to a prison industrial complex that quadrupled since 1970, 2.3 million precious, priceless human beings incarcerated. Some of whom have made some very bad choices. Murderers, rapists, yeah, they got to go to jail. But 62% of them saw drug addiction. Which means they decided to fly high in the sky one night and got caught. But police enforcement, different the chocolate side of town than vanilla side of town. I tell my friends and students all the time, I know some of y'all flying high in the skies for the weekend. I know that. Come back Monday disoriented, just come by this. I'm reading Plato and Rousseau and all, Lord have mercy. Police enforcement at Princeton University is different than it is in chocolate slices and train. 60% of conviction, black. Drug usage, roughly the same, percentage-wise. Now, I'm not calling the jails to be more colorful. I'm just talking about the arbitrary, racist criminal justice system. And we won't even begin to talk about the crimes committed in high places. I hear my dear brother Barack Obama talking about, I'm not going to do anything about the torturers because it's too politically delicate. I'm going to keep moving. Wait a minute, you didn't do that for Jamal, and he got caught with his crack bag on the corner. Torturers walk around free. Wiretappers. I know Brother Joe and Brother Kamosi and myself, we've been wiretapped for a long time. I've seen Curtis Mayfield do something. Keep on pushing, keep on pushing. Listen in. Listen in. It's almost a compliment to be wiretapped by FBI. Careful what you say. Make it more face-to-face. Point is, if you're going to have rule of law, y'all don't cross